Hello, everyone. This is Namrata from ColorAshram. And this year in 2025, we've decided to celebrate all the ecologically very important days that are reminders of what constitutes a good ecosystem, what is interconnected, and what health of one system, how it is very important for the health of us and all other systems. So, as part of that series, I plan to create some content with people who are experts in this area. And today we are going to talk about wetlands because it is a wetland day. And I have someone very interesting with me. He's called the WaterMan of Mysore. His name is Ravi, and we're going to start a short conversation with him on wetlands. So, hello and welcome, Ravi ji. And I'm very excited to learn from the best person who knows about water and has worked so much in the area of water. So, if you can introduce yourself a bit about your work, and then we can start the talk on the wetlands.
I am Ravi Kumar. One of my preoccupation in the past 30 years has been concern about water and particularly wetlands. So now is a very opportune moment to talk about the wetlands. That the World Wetland Day is tomorrow. So it's a very appropriate time to remember our commitments and our concerns. Uh, this reminder is very essential because we don't really know what is the damage that is being caused and how our basic life support system itself is eroding.
Mm.
Water, which is the basis of life on earth. So we take it so much for granted that today, though civilizationally we think we are very advanced, but our understanding about this basic life support system has been extremely poor and deteriorating. Our relationship itself is deteriorating. Human civilization, once they settle down, settling down happened because of the proximity to water, where stable life became possible for people, settle down for personal welfare, cattle, and agriculture. So if this was provided, people started building their communities.
Mm.
But they never forgot the importance of water because it was always there. In a place like India, particularly, where you get all your water by way of rains in 50 to 100 days, managing it for the remaining time was very essential for survival. This is the kind of lesson which our ancestors had learned, and also world over, people had learned. If civilizations came into existence, we noticed that they happened in the river valleys. So, river valleys are known as cradles of civilization. But today, the converse is not true because our urban areas, our civilizations, are actually the graveyards of river valleys. That's how things are transforming. How did this happen? Because our ancestors revered water. There was no lack of understanding about the importance of water. And they knew how hard it was to get water throughout the year for sustenance. So they were very careful about it. They nurtured. They over the years they understood their relationship with water, nature, and all the related systems. Because
Mm.
man is not in isolation.
Mm.
He is related to all living beings and he is part of that system. Our ancestors, even today, a tribal society, if you see, they revere water, they worship water. So it is not just blind faith or anything. In fact, their very existence and their sustainable way of life is possible because of their relationship with water.
Mm.
So this is very important.
Mm.
Uh, the tribal societies, for example, you look at the tribal societies in northeast of India, they have a very close relationship with water. They revere water even now.
Mm.
And it is part of their living practice. They have traditional knowledge system which takes them through all the lessons learned through over a period of time
Mm.
are still maintained, are still kept alive. Then they have traditional technologies that have evolved to suit the local conditions
Mm.
for sustenance, for living,
Mm.
and their tools and techniques for managing the day-to-day life. And along with that, they had the traditional values and ethics.
Mm.
Actually, the three of these together make a civilization. So it is very essential to maintain that balance among them.
Mm.
And we still see that
Mm.
these kind of balances are maintained. That way, they've been able to live and be productive in the same land and with the same relationship for an indefinite length of time.
I mean,
We see
Northeast is the place actually where development has happened least, they say, in terms of least disturbance. And it's say that it is like it is not reached there so much as it is reached everywhere. And you are exactly saying that how they're actually still preserving everything because of that, maybe.
we may have to define what is development. And
Yeah,
this
right.
gives us a basis for comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Because we talk about sustainability,
Yeah.
though we are living a very unsustainable lifestyle. And we are trying to convert those tribal societies, which are more sustainable, into our ways, then try to teach them to be sustainable all over again. So this is a very vague concept.
Yeah, it is.
But there are lessons to learn from there because we see our own civilization. What has happened is we also revered water at one time.
Mm.
Uh, but with the advent of technology, we started waging literally a war against the water and wetlands. In the last 300 years, we have lost about 85% of the wetlands that were around. That shows the extent of damage. In fact, a lot of our civilization itself was built on the foundations of wetlands. Decimated, cleared wetlands became our agricultural lands. So this has happened world over.
So I
But
would like
this
to
country,
stop for 1 second and ask you, what are wetlands actually? For a lot of people here, they actually may not know what is wetland.
good question. We understand terrestrial systems, that is dry land,
Hmm.
which is always dry, except when it rains for a short while, it becomes wet. These are called dry lands. Then on the other place, we have water bodies, where all the water flows,
Hmm.
stays. In between, there is a lot of places which gets inundated at part of the year. For example, a land gets inundated for about 120 days in a year. Its entire characteristic will be influenced by the presence of water. So such places are referred to as wetlands. They may be permanently inundated or they may be seasonally varying in
Hmm.
their water levels.
Hmm.
So it is very important to remember that where earth, water, and air meet,
Hmm. Hmm.
maximum amount of life exists. So this is where maximum biodiversity exists.
Hmm.
On earth itself, though we say 70% is covered by water, wetlands cover about 6% of this. But 40% of all life forms, biodiversity as we know, they
Hmm.
exist in this. So that is the significant role they play. So this is the most productive part of Earth. So it's and least understood.
Yeah, I've
When we
also
look at it,
yeah, I've also heard in Kolkata, being in Kolkata, born, brought up there, that wetlands are the kidneys of the city of a city, or
not just city, actually dry land,
yeah.
we call it a source because it's a place where a lot of organic materials are generated, which
Yeah.
gets washed off into our water bodies,
Hmm.
where they remain for a long time. So we call it as the sink. So biochemical role, if we compare, dry land is a source and water bodies are a sink. In
Okay.
between, we have wetlands, which are
Oh.
highly variable. They can act as source,
Hmm.
sink, but they're transformers. This
Ah.
transformer role is very important,
Okay.
where all these biological materials are broken down into simpler molecules, which can help rebuild life.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's why it is called kidneys of the earth,
This is the
kidneys of a
first time I
land.
understood this properly, actually. Nice. Okay. Mm.
So it's very important. See, we talk about ecosystem services offered by a
Mm.
ecosystem, by nature. It is like talking about the services rendered by a mother.
Mm.
You try to list it. If the list is endless, and many things cannot be listed also because we take it for granted. So it supports all life by provisioning things, that is your food, fodder, whatever is required. It is generated in nature, and behind it is wetlands or water bodies.
Mm.
And the varied kind of services they offer of supporting you, that is entire livelihood based on water, because 50% of the population on earth depend either on rice paddy or on fish. So they are directly related to
Mm.
this. So that is the supporting system. Then there is a regulating system. The global hydrological cycle, in fact, maintains the temperature of the earth, makes it livable. So such regulatory services are there. Then you have the cultural services. So our relationship with the water itself, which you say, we claim that our civilization had been water wise and water smart. It is always we were or it was, because now we have lost it. Now there is a technological arrogance that you see. With the technology, you think every problem can be solved with technology without realizing that your technology itself is creating problems.
Mm.
And your lifestyle based on that is the source of your problem. Within a short span of last 60, 70 years,
Mm.
all our sources of water have become sinks. If a old person talks about swimming in these rivers and all that, the today's generation can't believe it. That's the kind of things that has happened within this short span of time.
And we are talking
One
at
of
a
the
time
biggest
when Mela is going to happen. Yeah.
it tests people's faith, but it is supposed to rebuild their faith in the system.
Yeah.
That is to be, it should not get reduced to simple rituals. There
Mm.
is a deeper meaning and understanding to our relationship with water.
Yeah.
Uh, you mentioned rightly the East Calcutta wetlands.
Mm.
One of the biggest problem is our urbanization, where huge amount of water is extracted. In fact, 70% of wetland diversion is for agriculture. It puts a huge demand in our water sources. Uh, so, sorry,
No, no
just
problem.
lost. Give me a minute.
Yeah, yeah. We'll edit it. It is just so important, this conversation, I feel like, yeah, just to pause for a moment and have this.
Okay,
Mm.
so we see today almost 50% of the people live in urban areas.
Mm.
So every urban activity puts a heavy footprint, water footprint.
Mm.
In the process, water is used, contaminated, and let to flow back. So all our sources, as I mentioned earlier, sources became sinks in no time. That's the specter we see.
Mm.
Now, even trying to reverse it or even cleaning the water systems is very expensive. It requires a lot of energy. But
Mm.
nature tells us many things. One of the things that shows is how nature can cleanse water itself, and wetland is a very important part of it. So, if we understand the science and the dynamics of wetlands, it gives us a great insight into how we can achieve our requirements very elegantly.
Mm.
So, wetlands have been utilized to treat water. This is the best example comes from East Calcutta wetlands, spanning about 600 to 700 acres.
Mm.
This land takes in all the water that comes, about 70 million liters per day is let in.
Yeah.
Various processes like gravity, then
Mm.
biological processes, then
Mm.
solar energy, all these are utilized well successively so that water gets treated,
Mm.
and what we used to call waste becomes a resource.
Mm.
There is nothing called wastewater, it is a wasted water. Wastewater can be treated as a resource, and that's the only to look at it. That's what is happening in the Calcutta, East Calcutta wetlands. Dr. Dhrubajyoti Ghosh, who
Mm.
used to was related with it for a long time, he used to say how
Yeah.
today, if you want to build a system of this kind of a wetland service, we require at least 800 crores. And to maintain, we may require
Yes.
2 to 3 crores rupees per year. And here, this wetland is serving that purpose at no cost. But in fact, it has been very productive. It gives livelihood to about 150 fishermen's families.
Mm.
And every year, something like 10,000 tons of fish and mollusks are produced from there, which becomes food. So, what else do you want? You are
Yeah.
solving your problem very elegantly, biologically, without any expenditure of energy or with very little expenditure of energy.
Yeah.
And you are creating employment and livelihood to quite some families.
Mm.
Plus, a wetland ecosystem is kept alive.
Mm.
So, this is the kind of lessons we learn. And there are many examples. But again, as I mentioned, our technological arrogance comes into play.
Mm.
Saying, for example, East Calcutta wetland itself is under threat.
Yeah, yeah,
That
big time.
because it occupies so much space.
There
So
are
the real estate
massive,
says will
yeah.
build compact plants and use it for
There's a
habitation.
very, very famous school and building complex built on it, and it's one of the most expensive schools in Calcutta.
Mm.
I will not take names, but yeah, and they're all built on wetlands. We come to know. In fact, some people I knew they used to work. So the activists also have tough time because these people would go at night and start filling the land, and all of that. And I mean, Dhrubajyoti ji, I mean, I met him actually, and I also gifted him a natural light shirt, and he sent a photo in it. And because he came over to our setup and he explained our children, like we had children at the time who were studying sustainability and those things. So he has written some books also, I believe, on this thing, right? Are they in English also? Have you? Uh,
They must be. I haven't come across that. I had an opportunity, couple of opportunities to meet him. Had
okay.
some videos from that.
Okay. So I think that will be a great resource because he said that I can drink water from the wetlands, cleaned water from there, and I'll show you that it's drinking water. That was very powerful to hear because I
Yeah.
think we have just lost all understanding of what is clean water and yeah. So,
So somewhere we have lost the way.
mm,
We talk about science, but where living systems are, we are talking about technology, but where they interact, the interface between the technology and life sciences
mm,
and people's interests,
mm,
it is not very clear. It's a gray area. Many of the technological advanced societies also have understood and they employ these wetland techniques for the tertiary cleaning of water.
okay.
So, but our country is yet to catch up with that because even in our rural landscape, it is not only big cities.
Mm,
There are a lot of towns and cities springing to life.
mm,
So they all need this. 80% of the habitation don't have a wastewater treatment system. We
mm.
extract water, use it, then it is nobody's business.
Nobody.
It has become more urgent than ever.
Mm,
It is disturbing our own life cycles,
mm,
and all the life forms and the biodiversity that you see around are influenced by that. There is a serious loss of uh, freshwater wetland lives, not only freshwater, just generally wetland life forms. There is severe deterioration in their numbers and quality over the years. Time to arrest now. To arrest, first you need to understand,
mm,
act locally.
mm,
Otherwise, it will be very catastrophic.
mm,
A good indicator has come just in time, which is the climate change.
mm,
So, if we have to be a resilient society to that, we
mm,
also have to look back. We have to also have to strike a balance with whatever knowledge we have.
mm.
Leave alone AI. First, our natural intelligence and the common sense, plus
Mm,
the traditional knowledge that has been gained,
mm,
has to be retained, balanced with ethics. Then comes the technology. If
mm,
there is a right balance of this, we can still restore our water bodies, maintain them at good health, and have a very healthy relationship with them. In fact, this year's theme is also that conserving wetlands for human beings or
oh,
human future,
okay.
because there is no future without water. One simple fact, for example, the human waste
Mm,
or the feces or urine that is generated, the
mm,
ultimate destination of that is not water, it is soil.
mm,
It's a
mm,
matter of time before we understand this.
mm, yeah.
Today, we are carried out by the convenience provided by water, and we have overdone it to the extent that the source itself is damaged.
Mm,
Imagine a situation where human waste goes to soil, lot of nutrient conservation takes place, or your water bodies will be intact and fresh and healthy.
wow, wow.
This is not a pipe dream. But we
So is
need to get
anybody
down
working
from,
on this actually?
there are many societies which are working. There is what is called ecological sanitation systems.
Okay.
Today, you see they are prevalent in systems which are stressed for water. It may be very dry land.
Mhm.
It may be rocky area where you can't dig toilet pits, or it can be places which have severe shortage of water.
So
There,
in
these
Ladakh,
systems have been worked.
yeah, yeah. In Ladakh, I had gone and we had compost toilets there where we were staying in Sekmol school. That's the kind of example you're saying, right? Where
You have
compost,
taken a long ride. If you
yeah.
take a ride of about 90 kilometers from Mysore in HD
Okay.
Kote, there
Okay.
are many dry lands where
Okay.
entire villages practice use ecological sanitation
Awesome.
because they have severe shortage of water, and this comes as a very convenient. Then in coastal Karnataka,
Mhm.
near Kundapur,
Okay.
there is a community where this kind of toilet exists because they're right close to very picturesque backwaters, estuaries.
Right.
So river flows and you have coconut trees and groves. Their
Mm.
biggest problem is sustainable sanitation because the
Mm.
water table keeps fluctuating between 2 feet to 4 feet. None
Okay.
of your standard sanitation systems work.
Mm.
We had an opportunity to introduce these systems there with some toilet, and people were so happy.
Raw. Wow,
So,
that's lovely.
yeah. So, apart from being that, they get manure which they can use on the land. So, you need to contain, sanitize, and then use. So,
Yeah, I mean,
this is a very
mm.
this is a very important step we should have
Yes.
taken, but we have taken the wrong step and being perpetuating it.
Mm.
So it's only when scarcities occur that we realize that we need to manage with less water.
Mm.
But fortunately, we have knowledge of these systems. And people who are already practicing this, they will be the most resilient societies,
Mm.
even if there's severe shortage of water. With very little water, even with the rainwater they've collected, it is possible to live. But otherwise, the present civilization that you see, it is highly vulnerable. They are all built on abundance availability of water and energy. And this concept itself is making the shaking the foundation itself because more energy means more global warming, more climate changing, and accelerating that.
Yeah, I
So
know
it's
a common friend between you and me. I know that her house you had designed and she is surviving on rainwater. And maybe so are you, right?
yeah,
Your needs are met by rainwater only.
our
Yeah.
drinking water and cooking
Drinking
water, which is the
cooking
need of
water.
fresh water, is completely met
Yeah.
by rainwater.
By rainwater. Yeah, that's really amazing.
Generally, reducing your footprint, uh, you become more resilient, and you can also help in building a resilient society
Mm.
because with reduced water, you can still survive. And to use this water, you need very little energy. So that's how there is huge synergistic benefit that comes from that. So this is the way forward for us.
Yes.
If we are looking at a carbon neutral future, it is not through big factories or mega things that will come. In fact, how to tone down these kind of efforts, how
Mm.
to go back into as way of living where we are much closer to water, closer to nature and understanding nature. Today we have the necessary tools. We don't have to be led by tools. We need to lead, and tools should be able to help us.
Mm. Mm.
So today, that is the situation we find ourselves in.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really happy because this has been a very eye-opening session for me, and I know that all the people who will be listening to it for them as well. And what I'm taking away is the beautiful transforming power of the wetlands, and what you said earlier on the tree walk also, that this is a place where maximum life occurs. And it's so beautiful when you say that the earth, water, and air, everything is combined, like they meet together at this point, and it's really important and vital. And I mean, simple things, we don't need to spend money to make more things, we just need to protect what we actually have.
Another thing we need to remember, because most of your audience could be from urban areas, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So our lifestyle makes a big difference.
Hmm.
What we eat
Hmm.
makes a big difference. For example, if I'm eating paddy or rice, that demands a lot of water.
Yeah, yeah.
About bulk of the water that we have, it goes for growing these water intensive crops, either sugarcane or
Sugar.
paddy. If we eat less of it, it's very good for health.
Mm.
If we switch over to more millets and such diet, which
Yeah.
consumes less water, so the water consumed for agriculture also reduces. So
Mm.
your society becomes more resilient. You also become very healthy.
Yeah, yeah.
So in fact, wetland health is actually indicator of our own health. You
Mm-hmm.
can't be very healthy with very contaminated wetlands. The other thing about lifestyle is one is what we eat and what we do, because every product we have has a water footprint.
Mm.
The textile, for that matter,
Mm.
to grow it, to process it, then to color it.
Mm.
One of the most damaging part is the coloring part,
Yes.
water contamination that takes place.
Yes.
So what work you're doing is very significant because
Mm.
being organic and natural dyes,
Mm.
it eliminates the step of contamination of water in that. And it's also good for you to wear.
Yeah.
So we must look for these kind of synergistic benefits. So you can be happy and still have a very happy relationship with the nature
Yes.
and environment around.
Completely. I can tell you from experience that yes, you can be very happy with natural dyes and organic clothing as well. And I think this is a great takeaway for all of us who may not know how to really actively work in the wetlands because we're not staying in those areas. But if you have a local, organization that is working for wetlands, you can support them. Like I plan to go tomorrow to Raviji's community, who's actually going to clean up some lake, and there's a whole celebration of Wetland Day by doing some work on it. You could do the same, and as he said, you could check what you're eating, what kind of diet you're eating, and what you're wearing. I think this is good enough for us to start. Yeah, thank you so much. This has been great. Yeah, and I'll see you again
Thank you,
on
Namrata.
the day. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.